I want to give you just a committee update. Compliance Assurance Committee has been obviously very busy this year working on this conference. I want to just kind of tell you a little bit. First summit for peer review oversight committees was held 4 years ago here in Nashville. We had about 20 people, about 7 to 10 jurisdictions. I'm not even really sure. I know Texas was represented, Mississippi, Washington, Oklahoma, a handful. 2 years ago, we had the second summit. We had about 50 people, and we had about 16 to 18 jurisdictions represented. Today is our third summit. We've had about 65 to 70 people in attendance and 29 jurisdictions represented. So it's kind of let you see the growth that we've had. I believe that peer review oversight committees are very important, and I'm going to kind of discuss with you why I think that. As we begin to look at firm mobility, we've got to have a process in place for firms to know that when other firms are coming into the state that you're in to practice, that their peer reviews are receiving the same kind of process in the state next to you as they are in your state. So I think peer review oversight committees, we need to work towards getting them in every single state. Our committee generally only has one face-to-face meeting a year. We do most of our work by conference call, and I don't know if you've ever been on a conference call with 15, 20 people. It's very challenging, but our committee has done a great job. We also have a breakdown into some small groups to be able to accomplish our job. I want to take a minute to thank Alan Long and his committee for the work they did on this conference. I personally think we've had a very good conference, and I think they did a great job coming up with the subject matters and putting it together. So Alan, thank you for your work and your committee. We do have an annual meeting with the AICPA Peer Review Board Oversight Committee. And that was yesterday also. This has been a packed 2 days for those of us on Compliance Assurance Committee. But it's a great opportunity for us at NASBA to hear what is going on at the AICPA Peer Review Board. Although we attend all of their open meetings, we'll have representatives there. Henry Cross-Stitch, are you in the room? Oh, there you are. Henry actually currently sits on the peer review board in the regulator position. It's not necessarily a NASBA position, it is a regulator position. But Henry currently holds that spot and represents the regulator's position, I believe, very well. Alan Long will be beginning to serve on that on the peer review board in that position in October. And so, Henry, we won't get an opportunity to say thank you for all you've done, and we expect you to continue to do until you go off. But it's a good opportunity for us to have a playing field where we're able to express our concerns, and maybe we see some things that we want to ask the peer review board for input. They ask us for input. And we've been doing this, I believe, 4 years, haven't we, Jim? Does that sound about right? 4 or 5 years? 4, I think. This is the 4th one. And I know that a member of the AICPA Standards Task Force shared with me last year that the first time we talked about doing this, he thought, oh man, this is going to be a big waste of time to go meet with the regulators. And he shared with me last year, he said, absolutely has been a fantastic experience. Because we all want the same thing. When Jim and I go out and do our presentations, people kind of like a regulator and the AICPA, and but they want firms to do quality work. That's why they have the program. What do regulators want? We just want the firms in our states to practice according to the professional standards and to follow them. So it's really, we want the same thing. sometimes how we go about getting there, as Bob alluded to, is a little bit different. Sometimes the AICPA is limited to what they can do. State boards are not. And if a firm becomes non-cooperative, as Jim said this morning, if we want to charge him $50,000 fine, he doesn't care. When a firm has become non-cooperative, that's the time that state boards need to take action. NPRC report, for those of you that, if I haven't already said that, we will be issuing that sometime in January. And it is based on primarily the reporting information that we get from the two individuals that sit as members on NPRC. One of the things that we're working on is a collection of reports from boards of accountancy, from the PROC to the Board of Accountancy in the various states. I know all states do not do a written report. We are going to ask you to, if you are one of those states, to go back to your state board and get your board to make a decision for their PROC that they need to provide an annual written report to the board. And then those reports, we are going to have a repository for all of those reports. So if I want to go out and look at Texas' report, because they're a state right by me, or they want to look at Oklahoma's, they can do that. And I can know that Texas has a good PROC. They're doing I mean, I can read their report and see what they've done. They can read my report and see what our report, not my report anymore, I don't know what I'm saying, Oklahoma's report. I haven't been off the board long enough to get to where it's not still part of my life. Anyway, those will be put on this website. Now, I alluded to several times today to the website, so if you all would click on it and take us there. If you go to the NASBA website, there will be a link to the Peer Review Oversight Committee. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're going to have to get a mic. We're going to make you.
Gosh, the microphone. I just wanted to let you know, we added an additional navigation to this PROC resources section directly from the homepage under the Member Center. So if you're on the homepage of NASBA.org and you click on Member Center, then you can see there, it's the third from the bottom, PROC resources. And you can also get to it from the CAC committee page.
Okay, so if we could go, so we're there now. So right now we have the annual PROC reports that we have received. We asked for them, we got about 6. There they are. Oklahoma's will be up there within a month. So if you have written reports, please send those to Leona. So could we go back now? As I shared with you all that we're in my session this morning, here is where the PROC video training will be. So those 2 that we had this morning, they're out there. The others are not there yet, but they will be in the next, hopefully, month and a half. Is that time frame reasonable? I'm not getting a yes or no. Will the other training videos be out there in about 6 weeks or so?
Yes, okay. That's right. We've got Module 1 and 2 of the NASBA Guide to Developing a PROC are complete and available right there if you click on those links. And then as you can see, that Modules 3 of that section and then the next 2 for the Guide to Operating a PROC, those are all coming soon, and we expect to have those out. We're just going to be working on them over the next 2 or 3 months.
Okay, 2 or 3 months. So check back to that page, and hopefully these are, those of you that attended my set, they're not long, 6-8 minutes. They have good information in them. They also have some attachments. They're easy to get to. When Rebecca and Leona sent these to me, and then they kept bugging me about my presentation, and after I looked at these, I said, I don't need to write a presentation. You've written it for me. So I said, we're just going to use that. And the ideal thing here is you can go back to it any time. So that's available. And then over on the far right are PROC documents. Several of you have come up to me today and asked me about standardized type items. And we had a committee this year that worked on this, and we have a model report, a model oversight agreement, a PROC member confidentiality agreement, which is primarily from the peer review board, and then a sample PROC member application. And I'm not seeing the checklist. Oh, it's up at the top there. A couple of checklists. If there's other types of information that you feel would be helpful as you go through the process, please let myself or Leona know, and we will put our pencils together and try to come up with one. Basically, what we did on the checklist is we had a committee, and I think they took Texas, Mississippi, Oklahoma maybe, I'm not really sure. They took 4 or 5 of them, and they kind of laid them out and said, you know, this question's on every single one of them. That must be a pretty important procedure. And so they came down to this checklist. It may or may not be all-inclusive for your board. You may have other things, your board may have other things they want the PROC to look at or to do. But this is a good starting point for you. The report has some fill-in-the-blank type information. I would suggest that you verbalize it in your own words, but it is an example.
Hey, Janice, can I just get one more thing? And I know earlier Doris Cubitt was asking about the survey of, you know, kind of the statistics of all the different state procs. And this section up here is where we have that available. So this is where
it will be.
This is where we're going to add it, and we'll probably have that up within, you know, the next day or two.
Okay, fantastic. I am on this schedule. It shows that I'm going to come back and do a wrap up after this last question and answer section. I am not going to do that. I know several of you. I've had several of you say that you need to leave around 3 o'clock because you've got planes to catch. So we don't want to interfere with that. And I want you to have a last opportunity to ask questions. If you will notice today, you did not get a survey or to tell us about the conference. That is going to be mailed out. It may be in the form of a survey. It'll be in a week or so. Please respond to that, particularly if there are subject matters that maybe we didn't cover at this conference that you want us to consider for future conferences, because we do look at those. And in fact, a couple of our issues today came from the last conference that we had, and there were suggestions for those subject matters. Any of our committee members are happy to answer questions, ask questions too maybe, but answer questions for you. If you go on to NASPA's website to the committees, there's a listing of committees, and you can find each of the committee members' names, etc. So with that, I'm going to turn the program back over to Alan, unless you all have questions about the committee's work. So, all right, thank you very much.